My name is Faith, but you may call me Unmei. Ah yes, it's time for us to fix some more AI slop today. Oh, the perfect candidate. We love earrings that make absolutely no sense, and chains that magically go through fabric. Let's start off with a basic sketch as usual. I always do a simple circle for the head. You always want to start off with really simple shapes. Just makes things a lot easier, trust. It's kind of a rough start at first, but you gotta trust the process. Let's make the chains wrap around the outside of the hoodie so it's not doing all that. Time to sketch in the facial features, which is arguably the hardest part. I'm just trying to follow the reference photo right now, but later on I'll make it my own. Time for the eyes. I think he's squinting in this photo because the sun is directly in his eyes, or because he's trying to look cool. Either way, we're gonna draw him with more squinted eyes. Can't forget them chunky eyebrows. Adding some earrings. We're not gonna do as many earrings though because I don't even know what's happening here. Draw in the pupils and darken the top lashes. I'm gonna fill out these eyebrows and the lips with a little bit of shading just so we know where to place it later on. Let's sketch in some placeholder scribbles for this tattoo. Later I'm gonna make it the word hell because I think that's what it says, what it's supposed to say anyway, on his neck. Don't forget the under part of the eyes, that's just as important as the top. I like adding a little bit of black under the chin, it's just kind of my thing. Time for the fun part, the hair. His hair is kind of in his eyes, so I'm gonna make it swoop in his eyes just a little bit for that schmexy appearance. Add a backwards hat cause he's gangsta like that. I'm gonna have his hair poking out of the little slit thingy in the back of the hat that's supposed to be the back, but it's not actually the back because he's wearing it backwards because he's so gangsta like that. Remember to flip the canvas and cry a little bit inside as you have to fix your mistakes. We're almost done with the sketch, so we're gonna move on to line art now. Turn down the sketch opacity and let's get lining. Time to line the juicy lips. I just use a sketch brush for the top part of the lips, otherwise known as the Cupid's bow. Let's line that little schnoz. And of course, we can't forget the edgy band-aid. Band-aids have these little hole thingies on them. I don't really know what they are. I was just trying to replicate it. Line in the eyes. Keep in mind the little tear duct at the end of the eye there. Include the eye creases so he looks nice and tired of the world. I like exaggerating the lower lashes just a little bit. Ear anatomy is weird AF, so I suggest us looking at a reference of ears. To make the earrings, I'm gonna use this symmetry drawing guide and get the exact shape that I want. Then I'm just gonna select it, duplicate it, and then move it to the ears. I use the sketch brush for the eyebrows for a softer appearance. And then we start lining the hair. I focus on making triangular wispy shapes. You can make any kind of shapes you want for the hair, but this is just what I like to do personally. I'm gonna speed this part up because it's kind of just more of the same. Then we're gonna draw the hair that's poking out of the little slit in the hat. It's kind of bunched up and messy because it's being pushed down by the rest of the hat. Time for colors! I may have broken one of my own rules in my earlier videos by color picking directly from the photo, but I changed it a bit later on, so it's okay. Just drop in the rest of the colors, airbrush in those juicy lips, lasso tool those brows with the airbrush. I'm also gonna paint over them a bit so it looks like the hair is falling over them. Now I'm gonna add some of that sunlight that's coming in from the right side and messily paint in those dark shadows. There's also a nice little hue of red that's mixing in with the shadows and the light, so I'm gonna add that. Let's make the brush strokes on the back here interesting. Deepen the shadows, of course, for depth. Put in a nice dark color for the skin shadow because it's really bright, and when it's really bright, it's gonna be darker shadows. I did end up lightening it a bit though. I think this part of anatomy is called the philtrum. It's just a little part that dips in underneath the nose. You can see here in the reference it's pretty pronounced, but you don't really have to make it quite that pronounced. It really just depends on how much realism you want in the piece. To make the drop shadow of the hair, I like using the lasso tool, of course, because that's my bae. Honestly, it's just way easier than using a brush. Watch me struggle with that philtrum that I mentioned earlier. Gotta add the highlights to the jewelry. A nice chocolate brown for the irises. Darken the hair and then add a little bit of cool ambient light. Let's add more red to the skin because we don't want him to be a vampire. Or do we? We're gonna shade in the hat now. I'm using a texture brush for this because if you use the airbrush too much, then everything will look too smooth. Too smooth like butter. No, actually like the bad kind of butter. And we don't want our paintings to look like expired butter, now do we? So the top part of the nostril catches light for some reason. I don't know why, I just see that in references a lot. Remember to use references, guys. Gotta put those highlights on the skin, of course. This is something that the reference didn't do, but frankly I think he needs it or he's gonna look drier than SpongeBob and Sandy's dome. I'm gonna put some bounce light on his lips, and I'll just add to the realism a little more. I really focus on the sharp edges versus the soft edges on the hat. The concept of edges is really important in art. Certain edges should be sharper and certain should be more soft. Always use the lasso tool for the hair or I will come find your house and burn it down. I'm just kidding. Use whatever brush you want. But just know it gonna take a hell of a lot longer. Now we're almost to the end of the drawing. We're just putting in the final touches now. First I just type out the word for the tattoo and then I just paint over it by hand. And I'm really bad at hand-drawn script, so yeah. It looks like poo-poo, but I tried. Gotta add that sassy shine to the hair. And did you know you can set the eraser in Procreate to any brush you want? So I set it to the texture brush that I've been using throughout the drawing. So now I just erase away at the top and bottom of the line that I drew for the hair highlight. Then set the layer to bloom, erase away at the excess we don't want. Then bada bing bada boom, we got hair highlights. I don't always do this, but I'm gonna erase away at the top part of the lid there to give the impression of lashes. I play around with a couple ideas for the background here, but I'm just gonna skip ahead and show you the finished product. Alright, here he is in all his edgy glory. What do you guys think? Did we beat the AI? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and maybe even sklub slurb. Bye bye!